Why is there still bombs going off in Colombia in 2026? Is Colombia becoming as dangerous as it was in the 80s and 90s? Let's talk about it. Between last Friday and Saturday, April 24th and 25th, there was 26 different terrorist attacks carried out in the departments of El Valle del Cauca and El Cauca. On Saturday, the 25th, was the worst attack of them all. The bomb was placed on the Pan American Highway, right in between the cities of Popayán and Cali, in the department of Cauca. The blast was so powerful that it left a huge crater in the ground and left 20 people dead. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro made a post on his X account accusing the dissidents of FARC for these attacks, calling them fascist narco-terrorists who will be persecuted to the maximum extent. So for those of you who are not familiar with the history of the armed conflict in Colombia, I want to give you a brief overview to give you context so you can understand a little better why is it still happening today. The FARC are a leftist Colombian militia that were born after a period called La Violencia, which was a brutal civil war between conservatives and liberals that lasted between 1948 until 1958, in which 200,000 Colombians lost their lives. In 1964, the Colombian military, backed by the United States during the Cold War, attacked a group of liberals in the countryside of the Tolima department. This attack led to the creation of a Marxist armed militia, composed of mainly rural Colombians who identified as liberal. After their creation in the 60s, the FARC continued to expand their influence throughout the country until the 90s and early 2000s, where they reached the peak of power in Colombia and they had large amounts of territory under their control. This era was the worst of the armed conflict between the right-wing paramilitaries, the Colombian government, and the leftist militias. There was millions of Colombians displaced from their homes and hundreds of thousands of people were killed in this war. So after all that time and war, in 2016, a peace agreement was finally reached between the Colombian government and the FARC guerrilla. This peace deal was signed in Havana, Cuba, and gave the FARC militants political representation in Colombia's government as well as some other benefits. But 30% of the FARC militants did not demobilize, did not lay down their weapons because they were not in agreement with this deal, and they continued fighting and they continued expanding their influence. And now they still operate in Colombia, but only in specific regions like Cauca, like the north of Santander, some regions of the north of the department of Antioquia. Unfortunately for El Cauca, where they are most active, it is filled with coca plantations, which is the base material for the snow that goes over to the United States. It's also a strategic point on the narco routes because it has access to the Pacific Ocean, which they could ship the contraband up to Mexico and the US. So this conflict is between the Colombian military and the FARC, who are constantly attacking each other, and these bombs are just another part of that conflict. So yeah, guys, you know that I live here, and I'm not walking around scared for my life. I'm not walking around super anxious or paranoid. This conflict is contained in certain regions of the country, the ones that I mentioned before. So although it is still going on, it's not widespread throughout the entire country.